man. This is Neil Magny. And I said it, man. I was like, I don't understand how people are discounting the man like this, but he faced off against Geoff Neal in what was also a very, very tough 3-round fight. It went the distance, man. And Geoff Neal landed some shots, but Neil Magny, like I said, cardio machine. He did what Michael Chiesa does to everybody else, man. He just puts a pace on you and he weaponizes it, man. And it's incredible. It's very Gregor Gillespie-like, which we'll talk about in a second. But 18th UFC victory. He outstruck Geoff Neal 115-56, man. Talk about the definition of accumulative damage. That was Max Holloway style. If you had to go strike for strike in terms of accumulative damage, yes, they're in two different weight classes. Who is a better, I'm just gonna punch you until you just can't move no more, Max Holloway or Neil Magny?
Wow, that was it. I would always say blessed Holloway for sure, but Magny made a hell of an argument for it last night, man. He was putting on. He literally put on a clinic. Like, if you want to watch how to fight somebody who's just gonna walk you down and box you, man, Magny laid out the game plan, bro. It was a very good fight. And like you said, just weaponize that pace. It was impressive.
What's interesting, though, is that, believe it or not, so Geoff Neal, he did actually get a takedown on Neil Magny, and he controlled Magny for longer than Magny controlled him, which is not what I was expecting whatsoever. Geoff Neal can wrestle, don't get me wrong, but it's also important that way, I guess we note this, right? I talked about how there's going to be these camp battles, right? These great camps between the Fortis MMAs, the Elevation Fight teams, all these different, different camps, right? Safe Saud and Fortis MMA, unfortunately, they went 1-2 here at UFC Vegas 26, man. It was a rough outing for Diego Ferreira, which we'll talk about next, but also Geoff Neal. All these dudes training out of Texas, man. Listen, I want to ask you this. This is not necessarily related to, Neil Magny versus Geoff Neal, but how much do you think these actual camp competitions are factored into these fights, man? Because we did see when it was Eric Nixick versus James Krause, right? This was TJ Brown versus Kai Kamaka. When we saw that, we saw an Eric Nixick kind of be a little, how would you say? Or Eric Nixick is at Extreme Couture, actually. What did I just say? I don't know what I said. Anyways, he was basically just gave him a little bit of disrespect, right? Didn't want to shake hands, didn't want to be like, good fight, all that good stuff. I just want to know, what do you think in terms of like Safe Saud over here? And I don't know who was in Magny's corner at Elevation Fight Team, but nonetheless, do you think that they're sitting here like, dude, I have to fucking beat this guy, bro? Like, I can't, you got to go out there, bro. Neil, you need to do this. Geoff Neal, like that type of stuff, man. Because, Safe Saud, he's screaming the entire time. Give me your take. What do you think?
I definitely think so. I 100% think that they're going back to their camps and they're thinking like, yo, all right, next card, we're fighting 3 of those dudes this time. Like, bro, we got to go out. Because at the end of the day, you are, as much as the coach is kind of back in the shadow, he's still invested, he's still putting his world and his life into it. So, there's something a little back at the camp, like, all right, guys, we're fighting these guys again. It's almost like I was thinking like a team aspect, like every time, like, all right, we're showing up every season. We got to play these guys twice. We're always doing something. Like, there's just that little bit of, it adds a little bit of show to it. And it brings a little bit more gym camaraderie. So I'd imagine the coaches as well are playing off of it. If you guys can create a bad guy out there, you're going to create more good guys at the home base. It's going to be better for the overall team advantage. So I would hope to think they're doing that. And I would imagine they are.
Yeah, there's always going to be some of that stuff going on in there. But I just want to ask you before we move on to the next one, AJ, what does this mean to you? I'm going to say the stat really quickly, right? Neil Magny, in terms of his striking, where he went head, body, legs, right? He went 34 strikes to the head out of 144, 18 out of 26 to the body, and 3 out of 4 to the legs. Now, Geoff Neal, 30 of 67 to the head, 5 of 6 to the body, and no leg strikes whatsoever. What does that mean to you?
I was expecting a little more balance out of Magny, to be completely honest with you. But what that showed me really is that a more varied attack leaves your partner guessing a little bit more. Because with how we were seeing Neil Magny perform, that was the biggest thing is Geoff Neal was having to guess what was happening instead of, like you said, where Geoff Neal threw the majority of the shots at the head. All Neil Magny had to worry about was up here and a little bit to the body. Two spots instead of 3. So a more varied attack to me is going to be obviously a little more efficient, or I guess less efficient, but more less practical to take care of. So that's really all it means to me, man, is he's actually doing, putting the work in to do multiple areas.
No, absolutely, man. And that was another thing, too, that is really interesting is when you see that kind of cumulative damage style from both, not really both sides, but from Magny at least, right? You kind of do have to just pop at the head, because you're throwing stuff where you don't always think it's going to land, right? And there's not actually a problem with that. It's just more of like, all right, man, I'm just going to piece you up, give you something to think about, and then I'm going to mix in the takedown shot, or then I'm going to mix in this or that, or whatever the case may be. But impressive performance by Neil Magny. That's really what we have to say about this. Like I said, odds makers put some respect. He's almost always an underdog. He almost always wins wins the fight when he is the underdog. And at the end of the day, man, like I said, it's his 18th UFC victory, man. Like that's a lot of wins in the UFC.